Welcome, Maarten, Rosa. Nice to have you here. How was the session? You had a session on session formats.
Yes.
So we're going to discuss about what's different, what's changing, what the reaction was, and so on. So what's happening in session formats? How do we develop session formats so we're using the best of what's possible now?
Yeah.
I think today there is still a lot of work ahead of us. I think there is some experimenting left and right in some of the more creative conferences, but most conferences are still doing quite standard format.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, and we asked the room actually, what do you think is wrong with the current state of affairs?
Yeah.
And the answer was overwhelming. Like everyone said, it's so boring. It's not engaging at all, and people are just falling asleep.
Yeah. So when we talk about a session format, we're talking about the way information is transferred or collaboration happens, and we're talking about half a dozen formats that have just been established for so long now. They stretch back at least a century, if not more.
I would say even one format. No, I would say just keynote plus some Q&A at the end.
That's
a speaker doing a 50-minute presentation and a 5-minute Q&A at the end, and that's it. That's the session format.
Yeah. So what would you do differently? What if you had a complete, total magic wand, and you wanted to talk to a session designer that included those senior people who perhaps stick to their original format and say, no, I'm just going to do the same again? How would you influence and change their mind to do something different? What's in it for them?
Okay.
Well, I think there's different ways to approach this, but one of the more powerful ones for associations is young people don't come to conferences anymore to learn.
Yeah.
So they will watch the speaker and his slides on YouTube, so to speak.
Yeah.
So you're losing the young generation. You have to do a little more interaction to keep them on board with associations. I think that's a big one.
Yeah. So, Rosa, give us some examples of what new sessions can deliver and what the format is.
Yeah. So, for example, at the medical congresses that we work with, we try to include much more audience participation, more networking components. So just saying, well, now after the keynote presentation, just take some time and have like a mini meeting with a person or people next to you and discuss about the content that was shared, or think about how you can apply that into on your job. And that really helps because it breaks the pace of the session. It helps with networking because you are meeting people, you are having fun, and you're also reflecting on the content.
So how do you capture it? How do you make sure that all that incredible diverse opinion is captured, or at least learnt? Yeah.
Well, you could then do a follow-up exercise, like asking for some feedback with a microphone, or you could ask them to send their takeaways maybe through an app. Or to write it down in a piece of paper. You could also have a graphic recorder.
So there are many ways of doing it. And what about the impact of, say, technology? What do you find when people, kind of use technology? Does that enhance the process, or does it distract from where people are talking?
Yeah, I would say it very much depends on how you use it.
Yeah.
It could be very distracting to the point I wouldn't do certain things. Like I think this week I was at a session here at the meeting show, and the speaker was saying that there was a presentation where you could see the slides, and next to it there was another screen with additional information.
Okay.
And
so
I
questions
thought
from the audience, or
no, it was just like additional information on that presentation, and I thought that's just so distracting. So I would say that hinders the learning. But
you could also build the entire session around the technology. If you say we use a mobile phone to collect questions, you could actually build a whole session around it. Or you could use a co-creation system and really produce something together. But I think when you look at session formats, as you were saying, Rosa, during the presentation today, it's important to know the objectives. Who is the audience and what do we want to accomplish? I think one of the things we can add more into sessions is the networking. And networking means creating small groups that collaborate, that work together, that discuss the topic that was being presented. And give them really time for that as well. Because if you say, give them 30 seconds, that's nothing. You give them 4 or 5 minutes to talk to each other. They will get to know each other a lot better.
Yeah.
They talk about the topic, they learn more, it's a lot of fun, but also they meet those people that are in the room, which are probably strangers when they walk in.
Yes. Yeah.
But when you do an exercise like that, you see a lot of people walking out with 2 and 3s together that have become, almost friends in a single session based on such discussions.
Yeah. And you have to encourage them to disclose more about their perception or specific position in order to have that much more engaging conversation. And then, of course, you realize that people are thinking similar or very different to you, but nevertheless, your relationship is different.
Yeah.
So, what about speakers, and what about going back to that? What would you advise speakers to do in order to really create? Because sometimes they feel very hesitant about, well, I'm not sure I'll have any questions, and my experience is I only get the same 2 people asking questions. I don't want to do table group because I don't know how to capture it. What advice would you give to speakers?
Yeah, well, I would give the advice of using a professional facilitator or moderator because they know how to solve
manage
those.
that interface.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So that's
okay.
and then to plan everything.
Yeah.
Plan it, prepare a script in advance,
Yeah.
and work with someone who's done it before, and
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
okay.
I think speakers. It's not fair from meeting professionals to ask speakers to be more interactive. That's so cheap, and it's never going to work.
Yeah.
It is never going to work.
Yeah.
These people are professionals in paper or in medical topic. They are not professional speakers, so it's not fair of us to ask them to be more interactive. They will never do it. And then have a volunteer or somebody like the chair do it is also not going to work because the chair is too close to the topic. They're going into the topic. You need someone that's outside of that topic and helps people to go step by step through that script.
Yeah.
Otherwise, those discussions that you planned will not happen. It's really important.
So the bottom line is have a professional approach to the design, and then have professionals who do this for a living actually managing and coordinating the event and dealing with the people who are professional at whatever they're doing or talking about.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, and maybe if you have a big congress, I was just talking with the meeting planner of the Mobile World Congress, and he was saying we may not do that with all of the sessions because it's just too much.
Yeah.
But we choose those speakers that we know they are going to be more open to it, or maybe they have. Better presentation skills. So don't try to change everything. But
and that in itself mixes up the energy and the style of the event and so on. I ask presenters kind of rather impertinent questions as the independent facilitator. The first is, what's the one single message that you need to land with the audience? Sometimes they've got lots of stuff because they've got 100 slides. Secondly, what's going to be different for the audience because you've presented to them? The so what question. And thirdly, how does your message integrate into the rest of the conference? Some of which they've never even considered before. So whether you get proper answers to that question doesn't really matter, but you're engaging them in a different way, and then they see you in a different role and sort of, this guy's not just going to introduce me, he's trying to create a shape to the event and an innovative session design, and therefore advise me on how I can get the best out of it.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's not about taking the standard session of today and making it perfect. It's about improving. Every step we can go up and improve and be more interactive and add some techniques and discussion, for example, some variation. Adding that, everything we add is improvement, and I think we have to go step by step.
So where do you think? Final question. Where is the kind of path of least resistance to that change? Is it the event designers? Is it the independents? Is it the speakers? Is it the guys who sign the checks? Where do we hit this? Where do we go for this change that we need?
I would say the meeting owners mostly, right?
I agree. You need to go up. You need to start at the top. The chair of the conference, or the owner of the meeting, or the organizer of the event. The person that signs a check. That's really who needs to be convinced first. And then it comes down step by step. You convince the chairs, you convince the speakers. It's in that order.
So senior sponsorship, that's the key.
Absolutely.
Thank you. Thank you, Maarten.
Thank
you,
Rosa.
Pleasure.